Good morning. Maybe. Actually, for many of you, it's not. May you be well. May your families be well. I'm so glad to be here with you. Things are getting late. I'm really excited to be embarking on more intentional journeys with you. As you may well have noticed, through the summer and even into the fall, since the birth of my daughter, I've been on a focused journey to dispel my own insecurities, which rest in my past, attitudes that have lingered, choices that I haven't been clear on. And it's been working really well. I believe it's time to be a little more professional. I've been longing for a more concentrated rhythm, a more consistent and more momentous, more effective. I'm excited for people to trust this process. I want to grow. And as a result, I think it's important that I be more professional, that I stop infiltrating everything with my own thoughts in a way that I'm sure gets in the way of yours. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to begin each week with a little bit of an overview, then a tip that leads into purpose, a discussion of why we're doing the journey we're doing today, and then we'll begin. I want to be creating these meditations in a way that is just as effective or quite effective for someone to do later. There's a lot of power in being present, and I do encourage you to, if you can be, to be here live. And if you can't, I want it to be a little less chatty. And as a result, I'm going to write down the insights I get rather than continue to tell you about them. Now, sometimes it might be appropriate, but overall, I'd like to leave space for you to be present with your own process. I do encourage you to get a journal as well. As it so happens, my friend made this. It's all paper that he hand bound together and stitched in a form that's it's ancient. It's the way books were made for a long time, and I'm excited to share my thoughts less and keep them more intentionally in a way I do on my own. Now I'm going to do it on my own, but just kind of show you me doing it. Okay, a little bit of news. I've got 2 new thumbnail designers. I'm really excited. I posted a job and it was much more effective than I thought. It's humbling to receive people quickly. My post was, I would like a magical thumbnail designer who loves the earth. And I put it on Upwork, which is just awesome. It's an awesome place. I wanted to be very clear about sort of the consciousness I'm coming from. And 2 people were very present in their responses. I like them both. I'm going to use them, work with them both for a while and see how it goes, see how it reaches out to you. They have different styles. I'd like to appeal to people in different ways. I'd love your opinions. They're both wonderful, and your insights can help me, help them make better work. I'm excited to polish this up. Looking at the new year, I'm going to be going on a bit of a media tour campaign. I'm going to reach out to do interviews and do a little marketing, and I'm getting the thumbnails nicer first. I'm, tidying up loose ends so it looks better. It's a more professional place to receive people. And ideally, I won't lose anything about the core of the character that I've shared, the flow of this. And please help me make that true. Welcome, Christopher. Bless you. I'm so glad you're here. Dale, you 2 are the bestest. Let's get ready. Odetta began this wonderfully. There is a sacred relationship. This is my tip to you for the day. This is how we're going to begin for a bit. The goal, a tremendous goal, and I encourage you to make this one of primary focus. It can take years. I'm not at peace with how effectively this can work, but as I teach it, it works better for me. The goal is to find hints, clues of how your spirit is talking to you. The challenge is that the most useful places, the most helpful places for spirit to be communicating with you is in areas where you've been kind of numb, where you're sick, out of balance, things aren't working well, and thus it's harder to hear messages from there. The goal is to recognize subtle signs before they get louder. So, for instance, if you find yourself doing this, what chakra is that closest to? Nose tip. Nose tip lets you know that there is a more effective way, there is a need that your senses are trying to guide you into that you're ignoring, probably because you're pursuing a priority mentally or even unconsciously. You're responding to stress in a way that's not good for you. So when you do this, anything like that, somewhat unconsciously, you want to bring your awareness into, wait, why am I doing this? And then immediately you prioritize the chakra. What does the chakra have to tell you? The goal, as I mentioned, is to learn when it's not that dramatic, when it's subtle, it's obvious enough that it gets your attention, but you're not getting sick, you're not getting damaged, you're not even stressed from it. If you ignore it, it becomes stress that you embody. It becomes even worse over time. For instance, and please, this is frightening but true. When people ignore the messages of their heart for an extended period of time, they have heart trouble. For real. This does not account for all heart trouble. It accounts for a lot of heart trouble. Breast cancer can result from heart issues where nurturing is challenged or blocked. Many different forms of sickness and disease are the result of long-term messages that are being blocked from your spirit. So if it takes fear to get you a little present, that's fine. The goal is to become present with subtle signs. A little hollow in your gut. Something that I do often is I hunch over a little, partly because I take on too many burdens, and I'm still a little scared to be present with them. So I can learn to recognize the hollow in my chest when I'm in that mode, the hollow that allows the compression. That needs to be enough of a sign to get my attention. If you notice the parallel here, the way it just snowed today is beautiful. We woke up, it's the first snow of the year in New York, central New York. My son was so excited. My daughter, 6 months old, got to look at the snow out the window. It was tremendous. It was just really beautiful to be a part of. He rushed to get himself dressed before breakfast. We went outside and swept and shoveled, just felt the air. Snow is created in the atmosphere. And a little pellet of snow actually gets formed from something, around something. And often snow is created like it's ski slopes. They make artificial snow by blowing certain kinds of small particles into the air, which gather moisture. So there's something that's kind of it's not the same as a seed. It's the reverse of a seed in a way. It's the focal point. It magnetizes everything into it. There is often a seed in odd behaviors that you have. So there's a core instinct that is calling you. It's good. It's designed to get your attention. And our goal is to learn to make these things normal. So you just hear them. You're just present with them amidst the noise of your life. But as you're learning, you want to respect that something else congregates around these seeds or this focal point when you don't know how to pay attention to them as they are. And that's fine. The next level is something not so dramatic. It's just a little snowflake of sorts. You're going like this, you're scratching at yourself. The goal is to learn to connect the fact that you're scratching with your chakra. And really take this deeply. People will often, like I had a little bit of a lesion on my cheek recently, which is why I'm using this as an example. Well, that's because I was deeply ignoring some guidance. And so it got louder. So to say I'm doing this because my skin is actually irritated, why is it irritated? Now, you can't attribute everything that happens to you to chakras, but you can attribute a lot, particularly abnormal, unique behavior that doesn't quite fit in, that you might just think of as normal to you. But if you take an honest look at what you might think of as bad habits that are old for you, make the link. Where do they exist in your body? What could that chakra be trying to communicate to you that you've never fully gotten? Never presume you get the message fully yet, because if you did, it wouldn't be an issue. So remain open, keep it as a question until you genuinely feel well. Odetta began this beautifully, and if you look back and read the beginning of the chat, it was enjoyable to have an interesting, very clear, deeply meaningful question at the beginning of this that I could answer before going live, and it's so powerful. Here's the thing. I saw an extraordinary video from someone that I really like on YouTube. I'm not going to mention names when I talk like this, and they framed things in a very hostile way. They talked about a spiritual war. And these things are very real. Like, wars obviously exist, and you can certainly tap in and recognize struggles that are hostile on that level. They are the germs as opposed to the seeds. They are the germs of war, of genuine physical war. And you can get into the undercurrents and recognize them, and you got to fight. And if you don't recognize them, you might get sick. So it's more advantageous to get your attention in there and be aware. I'm inviting you a little deeper to respect that when you experience hostility directed at you, and that is one of the first things that happens when you awaken your spiritual awareness. Unfortunately, one of the first things that happens is you will experience hostilities that have already been directed at you. You've just been putting up with them. You've been numb from them. And it's very unpleasant to bring your conscious awareness into them. And yet, it's worthwhile, because when you do, you have more of an opportunity to change it. And I encourage you almost immediately to transcend the idea that you're fighting. Now, in many ways, you might be fighting. Bear with me. The most amazing teacher I had with fighting was a Kung Fu master who had also studied Aikido deeply. And he taught us intimately that Aikido is the art of channeling aggression back upon itself. Ideally, you don't expend your own energy when you're dancing Aikido. You simply flip things. So something comes at you and you flip it back. This is the most effective way to fight. It dispels fear, and it connects. It makes a direct connection between any hostility that's directed at you hurting itself. So the harder someone tries to punch you, the more they're going to hurt themselves when you flip them into the ground, and they hit that ground hard. Harder every time they swing harder. Softer every time they swing softer. The education is in the process. They learn to stop fighting with you because they eventually make the mental connection that I suffer more when I do this. And you don't end up investing in the art of hatred, in the art of resentment, in the art of revenge. And those are extremely difficult emotions to escape when you think in terms of fights. You might have to fight. You might have to fight for your space. You might have to assert yourself in a way that genuinely begins like that, because you're experiencing something pressing into you, trying to suffocate you and take your life force, take your attention in a way that is, it's absolutely hostile and frightening to experience. I'm trying to move you past that. And today we're going on an amazing journey to help you. And I challenge you to recognize that if you are insecure in any way about being powerful, that will magnetize a bully of some sort. Now, this is classic in old movies and videos, shows that I watched. A kid learning to stand up to a bully will keep fighting until they realize they might get threatened. But underneath that dynamic, there's a magnetism between people who won't own their own power. It's not explicitly about the fight or hitting back. It's about being willing to own your presence. When you're willing to own your presence, it has an effect akin to Aikido. People, they shrink from it if they have hostile and negative intentions. They do. And as a result, you don't have to even think about them once you get good at this. And it all depends on you being willing to own your power. And you can't own your power until you're confident that you'll use it well. So decent people often hesitate to own your power, our power, because Well, I'm concerned about how I'll use it. I don't want to let people down, to fail, to hurt people. And taking on the responsibility to channel it gives me the opportunity to bless people much more than any concerns that I might have to carry. So it becomes worth it. And the throat is ultimately one of the best ways to transform that. I'm stepping into my own power on a deeper level. I've done a lot of work setting up this channel with a ton of information and knowledge, and I've just been sort of puttering away, just share, go on, share, go on. If I want to reach out more broadly, as I reach out more broadly, I start to question, who am I? Can I handle this well? Do I deserve it? Will I use this with integrity? Well, in order to move through those kind of insecurities, do it anyway. Talk about it, assert it, say it, become it. Bring your presence through your throat. Your throat makes you more real. It amplifies your intentions. It amplifies your power in a way that makes it hard to go back. In fact, that's the point. Get on it and let it ride. So today, that is what we're about to do. Hello, old soul chimes. Bless you. What a wonderful name. We're about to do a guided meditation. The guided meditation is a crown chakra meditation in reverse. We are going to end with an extraordinary question. If you don't have a notebook or just a piece of paper, a way to record what you learn, I encourage you to get one right now, because I will give you multiple opportunities to check in with yourself and see what you're learning. Every week, we're going to do this and we're going to get a little bit better at it. The reason we go in reverse is we're searching for challenges. We're searching for insecurities. We're searching for the things that sabotage our ability to be real in the world. And the primary trust comes from the crown. When we're connected to divinity, we get to trust that we're of the vine of life. We're woven with the universe. We're connected with the divine earth herself. And thus, what we do, it's not infallible, but we're always living in relation to the guidance that will help us atone, correct, apologize, and learn from whatever mistakes we make, and recognize that it's part of the journey. Had your chance, please take your seat. I invite you to open to being on the floor if that's more comfortable. Sitting, lying down, learning simple yoga is eventually a great way to add to the depth of this meditation. Explore the key ring and the chakra yoga playlists, and they'll teach you what to add. Sit or lie down, feel gravity. You're drawn down and you're dissolving your resistance. Let this be your source. The earth herself holds you, and your body is hers. Begin to tune into your breath, almost like you're looking at it out the side of your eye. You're not looking directly at your breath yet. You're just starting to become aware. And then gradually bring your focus in with the gentle question, how do your lungs want you to deepen your breathing? You'll soon find that your body and your spirit are sitting there waiting for your mind. Your spirit and your body, your lungs and the resonance of your chakras and the lung chakra are already trying to get you to breathe more deeply. You need to bring your attention to tune in. And as your mind joins, magic happens. This is the simplest and most fundamental magic I invite you to learn. It's like drinking water. The deeper breath aligned with spirit feels awesome. And now bring your attention to your crown. I invite you to touch there gently. Hold a hand above it and see if you can feel first the heat and then the resonance. Stay aware of your crown. Whatever depth your breath takes adjusts with the rhythm of the resonance here. It's a simple, humble surrender. It means even when your body wants to take a deeper breath, you wait until it's in line, aligned, in tune, in harmony with the resonance in your crown. And eventually you synchronize, tune in. And you can take deeper breaths and stay present with the crown. And this is, you're lighting a fire. And this flow of spiritual fire begins to connect you. And I'm going to ask you a question. It might be helpful to write a little. When you were younger, trust any memory that comes to mind first. Who did you look up to? Who you do not look up to now? Breathe with your crown. Stay aware of your crown as you ask this question. Idols live here. They function as surrogates for God, for earth, for divine power. And it's beautiful to allow them to teach you what it feels like to give yourself over to someone, to allow their spirit to lead you. And now I'm inviting you to stand next to them. You are removing the sense of looking up. You're going back into your childhood, into the young mind that admired greatly. And you're standing beside them and you're seeing them as someone like you. And thus you're stepping out of their presence in your crown. And you're breathing in rhythm with a new energy in your crown. And you're saying one thing. I want you to turn to someone or someone's who you used to look up to, and you're saying, thank you. They are no longer welcome in your crown. You need this now for a deeper connection. You need space for a deeper connection. And the best way to change is in gratitude for what they gave you. We are going backwards. We are swimming upstream. We are taking effort to look into patterns that have been underneath the surface of who we are, driving us in ways that are no longer helpful. It takes work. It's difficult to swim upstream, and that's what we're doing. We're moving from the crown. We're moving from the crown to the heart, into the presence that once surrendered, that once loved an idol, into the presence within yourself. And breathing with the heart, breathing in your chest. And let go of the crown for now. And a deeper breath typically takes over quickly. And I feel it. And I feel my chest expanding into the back of my chair. My posture wants to lengthen. So I sit up, and now I just feel my back balancing with the front of my chest. What you love lives in your heart, but make no mistake, that's not always good. Sometimes we love in confusing ways and for the wrong reasons. There's a story of Greg Braden shares a story of the research of a woman who received a heart transplant. I've mentioned this. And when she did, she was vegan. And when she woke up from the operation, she desperately wanted Kentucky Fried Chicken. And tracking down the wife of the man who had died and given her the heart, they discovered he did indeed love Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, I promise you, that's not really the best for your body. What lives in your heart isn't necessarily the best for you. So when people say follow your heart, you need to understand we have more influence over our heart than we may want to think. Before you attune your heart with health, you have to look at what was there before when you were not in conscious relationship with your heart. Simply slipping into the same comfortable grooves of love will cause you to love in the same way over and over again until you learn from your mistakes. You have to work to change what lives here. It's frightening. And in that fear, we use the energy of the divine to help us remember, to help guide us, to rewrite us, to attune to a love that is ready now to live in you. What have you loved in your life? What and who? 2 questions. I want 2 answers. What is something you've loved in your life, and who is someone you've loved in your life that you loved in ways that are no longer good for you? Now, make no mistake, love is love. When love flows through you, this is sacred. You do not need to oppose it. You need to turn to this phase in your life and this person in your memory and say one thing. I want you to see them and a memory of yourself. We're doing 2 at once on purpose. It's more effective. You're working to find a memory of a phase of your life when you love something, an activity, a style, a way of being, an interest that is no longer good for you. You know this. And you're remembering someone who you loved in a way that is not good for you now. And you're seeing this part of yourself and this person. Maybe they're related, maybe they are not. And you're saying one thing. Thank you. And you're watching them dissolve and leave. You're creating space in the sacred space of your heart. You wish the person well, but there is no compromise. This old love lived on vibrations. It does not take the magic out of it to learn to recognize that it was living on certain specific vibrations. And you were saying, no, you will not live with this as a foundation of yourself now. And now you're breathing. Now you're breathing. You're breathing with your heart. And you're feeling back into your crown, and you're feeling your crown and your heart. This is sacred, this space in yourself. It is good to keep this space open and to make intentional choices about what to love. And you're asking for divine guidance to help you make those choices well. And my shoulders relax, and my heart opens. And now we breathe it. Let your breath be fun. Feel a big open space in your heart. Sense a smile, like it's here. I promise you, the smile is here. When you create space for this love, you're getting in touch with how you learn to love. That's why we're saying thank you. You're saying thank you to this time in your life and to this person in your past who helped you learn to love, no matter who or what they are. That is a gift that never needs to be replaced. Can't be. You are grateful. I am grateful that I learned to love, regardless of what happened. And now I have this space, I have this power, I have this presence within myself ready to help me create a new life. Many people don't go back and change these things, and they go down, they deteriorate over the course of their lives, just burying the pain, burying the burden, numbing the memories. This is magician, Jedi, wizardly, whatever you want to use. This is incredible. Superpowers. Simple. You go back and you change your relationship to the past. It's changing the past. You remember the past in a filter, a way, an idea. We're changing it. And it ends with gratitude. And then we're swimming. We're swimming upstream again. You're using your will. You stay focused. That's why being a little more momentum here, all right? We're pushing into forces. You're swimming against the current to get into spaces that are difficult to be present with. It takes work. You go against the current in the key ring from the heart. Where are you going to be? Third eye. Grab it. Own it. Whoa, heavy. Feel this band around your head. I feel it. I am constricted. I am breathing into this constriction. And I am opening space in my third eye. I have imagination. I looked at the world through paradigms that were shaped by this love that I just changed. And if I'm not conscious, those paradigms live on in my third eye, and I can feel them. They're heavy. They're heavy because they're resisting who I am now and where I need to be now. So one of my replacements is I used to love John Cougar Mellencamp. I stopped listening, but I never really addressed what I was hearing. One of the most powerful paradigms that I was given through musicians in the 80s was hold on to 16 as long as you can. Changes come around real soon, make us women and men. That's crazy. There is such a drive to deify our childhoods and our youth because there's a vibrancy. There's a power to coming into your own at that age that seems irreplaceable. It's false. Not only is it replaceable, you are supposed to learn to replace the feelings that you had then because you crashed. You were crashing. You did not know how to drive your spirit in the world. So the love you shared was in a way brutal. You were bumping into the guardrails. It was not nuanced. It was not graceful. You did not have the ability to know. You had to live to be who you are now. And when we look backwards, we're not just seeing our memories of love, we're insisting that we love in a way that is deeper and stronger and resonates more purely now than our memories did. We allow the past to dissolve, including the way in which we connected to the people that we loved there. And it undoubtedly affects them wherever they may be. And you pray for them in this change by saying thank you. And they may not want to be liberated. Believe me, this pressure affects you. The pressure from people in your past to remain who you are. Were, are. I said it the same time. Were and are. Don't change it. Keep that going because they're used to you being that. They've created themselves in relation to you without even understanding it. But you need to change because you know a vision of yourself in a deeper way. You know a purity that is a memory and a vision of the future. And in order to embrace it, you have to go backwards first. And this works in two ways. You need to understand some of it only. You need to remember some of it only. Just enough. Enough not to be afraid. Enough not to turn away. Enough to be willing to stare at whatever memories rise and say, what? Hello. Thank you for being that with me. Thank you. And in the thank you, within this thank you is goodbye. And as you say this, as you feel it, you sense your third eye. You're breathing with your third eye. Use the third eye breathing exercise. Blind cross. Learn it. 12 essential breathing exercises. Subtle attunement with the third eye. Cleanses it from within. And as you cleanse it, you are dissolving many of the memories. That's why you don't need to bring your consciousness to scour them, to pore over every detail. You simply need to refuse to fear it. And if you feel some fear, don't be afraid. Don't let the fear change you and turn you. And you kind of should be a little bit afraid of your past. You should be a little bit afraid of changing things because once you learn that you have this power, believe me, it's unleashing much more than you can recognize all at once to realize that our power lies in our past and changing our memories, changing the way we relate to the times we've been through, to the love that we've shared, unearths new space, new soil you may not even have begun to imagine. You could plant new flowers here. My head's getting lighter. Whoa, okay, now grab it. Find a vision of a positive future. It should scare you a little. You're opening space. Sometimes before you can see something, you have to intend. We are intentionally creating space for a vision of our future that is stronger, that is more resonant, that is more vibrant, that is more present than anything from our past. There is no more belief that the first time I fell in love was the most beautiful and most amazing. That you were learning to talk. It's great. It's exciting. I would never want to replace that with this. What is it? What do you see? Just something. I grabbed a vision from a dream. It's beautiful. It was so beautiful, it scared me. Still does. I love it. Oi, there we go. And as I say that, I feel it. Who felt that with me? Oh my goodness, somebody did. Who felt that with me? Type it. I was strong. Now I'm really present in it. My third eye is happy and I'm getting ready to move. We're going to move soon. If you have anything to write down, now's the time. All you want is a simple vision, a simple imagination of the future. Something. It could be a snapshot, like a photo. You want something you can hold that helps you focus on a positive vision of your future. And ideally, it's something that you've already known, you just haven't been cherishing enough. And we're going to swim against the current again. And if you know, where are we going? Swimming against the current of the key ring, going backwards in the key ring from the third eye, we reach the navel. Power. Power. Right away, I want you to ask a question. Get ready. Breathe into your belly. Find balance. I encourage you to sit up. Find balance. When we ask these questions, you can hear words or you can see. You can choose to see. Make a background. Make a white background, a black background. Choose it. You have this power. It's deep. You choose what you start to see, and then you let spirit communicate to you in this form. And then you say, what is a positive belief that you used to have about who you were that no longer serves you? You used to imagine yourself as something. You liked it. This is you to you. But if you're honest with yourself and you look at it now, it has serious drawbacks. It inhibits the life that you really need. Breathe into your belly and ask yourself this question. What is a positive belief about who you were, past tense, that you may still be carrying? Like that part of yourself is still arguing for control. And we're digging in, we're swimming against the current, we're pushing into our memories of our past, and we're saying, wait, this doesn't fit now. And you're looking at yourself. One, vision of you. You're looking at yourself in the past. And you're saying, chill. Chill. You're not in control now. Thank you. And within the thank you is goodbye. Surrender, dissolve. It's time to be present. It's time to give your gifts. It's time for the young you to take its gorgeous, brilliant, fiery youth, whatever your greatest hope and passion and sense of yourself was, whatever moment that existed for. I understand it might not have been all the time. Find it anyway. Find when you thought of yourself as powerful and insist that that part of you surrender to who you are now. And we're going into this. You're feeling fire here. Because as we remember power, we're remembering power and it's here. You remember, you feel it. Now it's present. It's not in the past anymore. You're breathing it. Do you get this? When we think of ourselves in the past, we put the vibrations that we remember into the past. But in the moment that we remember, they're not past, they're here. You feel them if you let yourself. Feel it. Feel it. You've already set this up. Your past self is already surrendering to now. So feel this is yours. You're breathing your own power. And don't worry if it's not coming naturally. Breathe more in your belly. Feel the fire burn resistance. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Feel this fire like this fire cannot be destroyed. You can dampen it. You could put so much dirt and grass on it that it has to fight to presence itself, but it can't be destroyed. This is your life force. It will carry you through death. But while you're here, can you please help it burn bright? We're pulling away the dirt. We're pulling away whatever gets in the way of you burning. We're pulling away your sense that you were strong in the past and you're not now. That was your youth. That was another time. You're owning it now. And you're getting ready. You're getting ready to swim upstream again. Because with this power, you're gonna lean into the challenge a little deeper. A little deeper. And if you know where we're going, backwards in the key ring to the chin. And it does. In the right moments, it makes me laugh. The chin makes me laugh. Laughter is sometimes it's the only appropriate response to extraordinary change. Trust, pure trust, pure trust, pure trust. All my ideas about who I want to be. At a certain point, you just have to surrender them. And you're breathing with your chin. Breathe through your mouth. I invite you. You're drinking in life. And stretch out if you need to. And keep breathing with your chin. There are no thoughts necessary right now. If there are any thoughts in the way, if you've learned something, write it down. Hi. Breathing here builds pure trust. It's a presence. You can make it stronger just by intending to. You're not even putting it into anything. Yeah, who felt that? Type it if you did. I know that was someone. See, sometimes these feelings are waves through many of us at once. And it's joyful and deeply special. We're sharing like a flock of birds. We're sharing a greater consciousness when we go on journeys like this. And currents exist within the flock. I don't think I like flock, but currents exist within what we are together in this moment. Some of them are shared and some aren't. It's sacred. I trust this and I breathe with my chin. Now there's an anger. I'm finding an anger. What do you find here? Breathe with the chin and sense by staying with it a little longer than may be comfortable, you expose what's underneath. Breath and focus, breath and focus. And then it brings up thoughts, and those thoughts are relevant. And you work with the thought a little until you discover, is it taking you far away from the chin? Then come back to the chin. Is it unraveling tensions in the chin? Stay. It's that simple. I just felt an anger about how long some things have taken. And then a sadness beneath that I've been so petulant at times. And as I feel the sadness and the recognition of this part of me, I let it go. I say thank you. And I'm going to follow this. I'm moving back into the navel. That anger was present in my navel, that sense of who I've wanted to be that I have not become yet. But I'm following the flow of trust from my chin back to my navel. And I'm breathing in this presence, and I'm recognizing the dissolution of this angrier younger man who used to be so hopeful and then saw his hopes not exist, not be created in the ways that I wanted. And I'm just letting that be okay. I'm riding the trust from my chin back into my navel and feeling power. It's full of possibility now. I'm free from having to prove expectations from the past. I'm free from having to create younger visions of what I want. I'm take the presence within yourself. You take it from who you used to be, and you kind of have to. Because who you used to be is essentially fighting to assert itself right now. And you're not really here until you learn to take this for now. And you take it and you say, look, there's a bit of a do-over now with a much deeper wisdom, a much stronger spirit, a much more beautiful hope. We're going to recreate what we see in the future. And we're going to move into the third eye. We're following momentum now. You're not swimming against the current anymore. We're flowing into the third eye, and we're going to do something really cool here. So I want you to breathe between your navel and your third eye. You can rest in either. Connect them by shifting between them a little. Breathe into tension. Breathe into anything that's heavier, denser. Let your breath help you dissolve it. Hoi. We're going to do something really cool. And don't worry about how this works. Maybe the first time you try this, so you can do it again. You can do this exact meditation again in the recording. You're sitting wherever you are. And I do encourage you to sit now if you've been lying down. You're writing down anything that you might have learned that you feel like you want to set in memory so you can trust that you won't lose it. And I want you to imagine a chair in front of you. Even turn a little to the side from the screen if it helps. Imagine a chair in front of you. And someone is going to sit in this chair soon, and I want you to trust their presence. And someone walks over, and you see them from the back and then the side, and then they sit. And you're looking at you in the future. Feel it. Third eye. Feel it. This works. And you're saying one question. What do I need to learn from you? I invite you to cherish what you are learning. If you only get a small piece of a reply, that is enough. Cherish it. All you have to do is find a way to remember it. So when you're ready, draw or write down what you just learned. And if you have not received clarity yet, stay present. Try visual. And I invite you to ask, what else do you have to tell me? He's inviting me to tell you this. He says it's not vegan. I was vegan for a long time, and I've really wanted to go back to being vegan and saying no. Restraint, deep humility about the gift of the life of an animal, deep respect and gratitude to the spirit of their consciousness, and deep restraint. Do not overconsume. Do not consume animals that have been abused whenever possible. And when it is necessary, you will know. Trust the rhythm. It's enough. I'm going to ask a last question for myself. I will not share the answer. I invite you to do so as well. You're staring at yourself from the future. You trust yourself from the future knows more than you do about you and this world. What do you need to learn? And get ready to let go. Write down anything else you may need to know. I'm feeling the back of my head. I'm trusting this because I've brought into presence that which has been hidden from my imagination, that which has been with me and of me that I have not known consciously. That's what lives in the back of your chakras. It is this simple. You can trust it. And I have just learned to look into this part of myself, and I feel much safer and stronger. And I hope you do too. And we're moving forward into the heart now. We're following the rhythm. It's easy. Just let it carry you. You're floating down the stream. You just worked, swimming against the current. getting into your memories, changing them. Now we're floating down. We're floating down. It's nice. I'm just breathing this in my heart. I've created space for new love. And I invite you to look around you in your life right now. Don't you dare tell me that there aren't really good things to love with you right now. What are you striving to create that you know you want? Just choose one thing. What are you striving to create that you know you want? Focus it here. You're putting this love in your heart. Whatever fears may live, whatever sense that maybe it won't work, maybe I'll get hurt if it doesn't happen. Step into it with your breath. You're breathing in your heart and you're bringing it to life as you blow a little fire into greater strength. One thing in your life that you know you want to work. It already exists, if only in your hope. And you're giving it to your heart, giving it to your heart, and your heart will change it in order to make it stronger, in order to make it real. Breathe with this. Breathe with this. You can't tell flames which way to dance, but you can feed them what they need. Do it. And lift. Get ready. Get ready. Lift up your heart. Lift it up into your crown. Breathe with your crown. Breathe with it. You're a candle of the divine. You are a torch. You are a flame. You are a lighthouse. How strong are you supposed to burn? Be it. Just be it. There is a truth to what the world wants from you right now. Be it. Breathe it. Be it. Let it be lit within you. Feel it fueled from your heart to your crown like the wick of a candle. Lighting, lighting, a fire. This is a halo. This is exactly how angels and saints activated their halos, and it most definitely can be seen when you get it bright enough. And this is how. Light up your crown. Breathe with it. Feed it from your heart. Lift your heart up to your crown and feel it burn. And settle into this depth right here. You want to know how I know you feel something of the same thing I feel? We feel the same wind. When a wave crashes into the shore, it might not hit each point in the shore the same, but it's crashing right around each of our feet. This is the depth. You don't need to make it stronger because it's here. Be present with this. This is you for now. Burn it. Trust it to last as long as you need it to. Hi, and feel your crown. And I want you to invite something. This is beautiful and scary. Be together in this with whoever's here and allow whoever comes and watches later to witness your presence because you're here, and when they watch, they will feel it. And you are in this. And I invite you to invite a message from your future into your life over the course of this next week. I invite this message to presence itself in a way that I will not be able to mistake. And it is something that I will hold with more strength than any vision from my past that continues to affect me. And this is a new sense of who I am. This is a new connection to the future. And it's not about to come in the next minute. Maybe it is. It's going to sneak into your life exactly when you're most ready to receive and accept it within this next week. This is how to talk to spirit. It's a beautiful, beautiful dance of a conversation. You create space, you ask with open-endedness, and then you surrender into this dance. And when it works, you embrace it and you work with what works. And when it's confusing, you come back here and you ask some questions and we'll work on it. Because that's how we're going to leave this. We're surrendering. And do this with me. Going hoo-ah, all right? It's a release. It's an old magical release of the prayer of this. You open your hands and you're going to move them up and say hoo-ah. Ready? Hoo-ah! Oh. Bless you guys. That worked better than expected. For me. I hope it did so for you as well. Yes, indeed. Open your eyes. Welcome back. Yes, Osul. I'm happy. Things are going good. I'm so glad you feel well after that, Dale. That's exactly what we're going for. I'm really pleased with the balance of that one. And I got in there in ways I really needed. So thank you for being present. I really hope that works well for you. This is a depth that I've been aiming for a long time, and we've had to create some foundations. I've had to deal with my own stuff enough to hold this space in this way. And it is also dependent on, I want you guys to let me know, if this wakes up anything that you need to ask about. The fool walks off the cliff when it's time to dive, when it's time to dance into the unknown. That kind of surrender is not beyond anyone. The archetypes, which many people can relate to in the tarot, 21, it's an icosahedron. It's a particular energy framework that balances in this world in particular ways. The archetypes begin and end at the fool. You start over. No one, no king, no wizard, no magician, no shaman, no priestess, no queen, no jester, no nothing escapes the need to walk off the cliff and start over, surrender again. All of those presences, all of those roles are time. They're built in time, and time is about beginnings and endings. If you don't embody a role in time with the grace and respect for time in this world that you will have to surrender it, you're already a fool. And being a fool in that way is not fun. You never cling to what is as if it will never die. Because if you do, then you are not seen beyond what you are in this life in a way that has a permanent recognition for the way in which love, divine love, always has more, always extends beyond what is now. So here's a gift. Your future self always knows more than anyone else. There isn't a person alive, not a person alive. If you become someone in the future who doesn't know how to trust, well then, you're missing the future self that is present with you now, that does. We make dramatic choices about where we go, and it is daunting how much power we have over the future. The simplest version was seeded in my youth to many. I don't know if you were exposed to this, but we had these things called choose your own adventure novels. They were these books which they would have a little passage that would go on for half a page or maybe 3 or 4 pages. And at the end, it would have 2 or 3 choices. It would say, if you do this, go to page 67. If you do this, go to page 92. Life is really like that. Life is really like that. And in the grand scheme of things, there are possibilities that we share with many other humans that are entirely different tangents into what you might as well think of as an alternate reality. And in that alternate reality, you are present with all sorts of other people who made the same choice. The world isn't as real as you might think, or realness is surrounded by much more existence than you perhaps ever recognized, meaning there are multiple possible futures. We're not living in a linear timeline that says there's only one thing that's going to happen in 500 years. No, some people are going into an apocalyptic world because that's how you live. It's that simple. Some people go into an apocalyptic world because that's how you're living. And when you live that way, that's where you go. Now, for quite a bit of time, there are choices being made. So part of you is pulled in one way and part of you is pulled in another. And that affects your behavior. That affects what you dream of. That affects how you choose to live your life day to day. And at a certain point, it catalyzes and you slide down a different path. And there you go. And you go with other people who made that choice and you work out your karmas together. That's how it happens. When we pray to look into the future in this way, when I pray and you follow, and believe me, I'm humbled and full of gratitude for the respect I get in this way. You choose to follow me for any length of time, to create space for you to trust yourself. Well then, I'm holding space for a positive future where the world is full of love. I had a focused vision, and this is all I'll share of it. I had a focused vision of the future that I am well aware is a certain timeline. And when I hold it, you're holding it with me. It is a future world that is healthier, full of healthier people and a healthier relationship to the planet. And it's here. Some people aren't going to stay here. Right now, I'm going through and I'm working with this wonderful designer, making thumbnails of all the Thoth channelings that I've shared so far. I love the design. Please tell me what you think here or elsewhere. And the next round, we just did the first 5 of them. And the next round is including staying on Earth and leaving the Earth. They're absolutely extraordinary. I did not know these things until I channeled it. So for what it's worth, you can doubt me all you want. It's okay. It's understandable. I encourage you to. Skepticism is healthy. When it's mixed with hostility and fear, it's kind of sick. And that's on you. I didn't know these things. I didn't think these things until I spoke them through. And once I had shared them, I'm like, okay, what does that mean for my life? Now, again, I encourage you to listen to both of them, and I encourage you to embrace staying on Earth. But you don't have to. You don't have to. It's daunting. It's terrifying. It's overwhelming to realize that you have this power. You have the power to make this choice. And it's not a choice that you make like a light switch. Thankfully, we don't have that power. I wouldn't want that choice to just say, now I choose this or that. No, the choice is made by the momentum, by the momentum of how you live your life day to day for a while. And when you've been living unconsciously, as many of us have for great lengths of time, when you've been living unconsciously, making conscious choices has more strength. It has more strength. So become more conscious. Be present in a way that brings the most love to life now. Like in some ways, this is the oldest message in any spiritual tradition. There's a heaven that calls you to live well now so you can live in heaven. But make no mistake, the heaven isn't an elsewhere, it's here. You make it by being the presence of the best love that you can imagine. You share it with the people you love, and it's a little more real for you. You have no idea how dramatically impacting this can be. I have skirted through absolutely terrifying levels of violence. And I've just held myself in this way. Held my heart, held my breath, held my intentions to love as best I can, and walked through them. When you carry your presence in certain ways, the world takes care of you because you've taken you with the world. You have taken her gift of love that is present right now. And when you amplify it, she amplifies you. There's a give and take going on here. She is presenting people with an enormous range of choices, and they are purposely exaggerated. So you have the opportunity to be an awful person. And believe me, when you make that choice, you are channeled into categories, places, fields of energy where that choice has a place of sorts. The entire point is to learn to transcend such choices. But if she didn't give you the opportunity to learn that way, a lot of other things wouldn't be possible. You must consciously choose to learn how to resist the magnetism of extraordinarily negative presence. Because understand, what we may call negative in the abstract has magnetism. You feel it. Have you ever gotten really upset, and yet somehow you could recognize your body feels kind of good when you do? It clarifies energy. When you get really sad or really angry, even in a nasty way, it creates a purity. Now, think about what purity means. Purity just means pure. It just means one thing without other things. When you mix a lot of different dissonant energies, it doesn't feel good. That's why people like heavy metal. It just clears out all the other vibrations. And so it creates this purity. When we say pure, though, it's pure to that. It's pure to that. So you are becoming pure in relation to one kind of thing. Well, that feels good because it's no longer struggling. So you don't feel the tension between ways of being. But if you've embraced something that has fundamental tenets, fundamental ways of being, fundamental ways of living and loving that are not healthy, it's up to you to change it, even if it feels strong and clear inside you. It's up to you. It's on you. You got to do that work. And you do the work by practicing. You practice what you really want. So you're bringing into reality a love that is here right now, and more so when you amplify it, when you focus on it. And it's work, because you're often practicing in the face of stress, in the face of tension, in the face of pressures that would have you do other things. But by resisting it, and creating the kind of love and kindness, respect, appreciation, care that you know you want to be, it rests deeper and deeper in your heart. And when it matters most, you remember. That's why it's called practicing. Any questions? I have something I want to remember. You know, for the longest time, I genuinely resisted doing more online because I didn't want to deal with people who were, trolls, basically. There's a thing though where the world gives us the karma we deserve. For a long time, I woke up, to an extent. So I woke up my spiritual awareness and I went out seeking teachers. And I found the teachers and then I fought with the teachers. It's a thing. It's like you sense the presence of someone and finding fault in what they are or finding doubt or trying to presence an alternative reality is a way of feeling strong. It creates energy. I remember when I was with a teacher who taught me this, he told me this, and I was like very unhappy about it. And yet he was saying, look, you're creating spirit, but what's your point? What are you doing this for? I don't want to do this with you. But the thing is, I did it a lot. And it's the mark of someone who has something great to give and doesn't know how yet. I was essentially bumping into the guardrails. Why was I fighting with him instead of doing what I wanted to do? The beauty of maturing is that, well, two steps. First, I learned to stop fighting because it wasn't necessary. I learned to recognize the insecurity of arguing with someone else as a way of trying to presence myself. Next, oh, by the way, you can often believe you're doing a good thing, by dispelling negativity or darkness or the danger of someone's falsity. But really, it's a way to, assert your own ego. But then the next level, which genuinely is funny, though a little bit annoying, is that I'm aware that I will continue to magnetize exactly the kind of resistance or something comparable to what I created. I deserve it. It's like, well, I went around, I literally traveled. I gave up my whole life and traveled to a teacher. And I had everything I had in a car. I drove across the country and my car broke down. The brakes gave out, which is scary. And think about what that is. Your brakes give out. Now, at this point in my life, I'm completely aware that physical reality creates metaphors for what's going on spiritually. At the time, I didn't get this. But that's what the beauty of memory is. I can look back and I can realize what was happening. I drove across the country with all my stuff. And when I got to my destination, my brakes gave out. And I literally spiritually barreled into this community. And I needed the presence of this teacher to chill me out because I didn't know how to stop myself. I was strong, I was alive, and I was barreling into somebody who had the strength to chill me out. And of course, what I immediately did was attempt to find all the different things he was doing wrong. And the thing is, in many ways, I was correct. Like I was realizing real things, real mistakes he was making. But the point is in priority. I wasn't able to sit still and say, I don't think that's the best way to do this. I'm going to do it a different way. And because I wasn't able to do that, I wasted my energy arguing with him. Now, once I realized this lesson, I just said, oh, I'm leaving. And I had the wherewithal to just leave. And ironically, he gave me respect for leaving with respect. I didn't just like trash him in public or something. I said, okay, I think I need to do my own thing. And I did. And it was hard. It was harder to go out on my own. I faced more difficulty because I wasn't in the shroud and the protection of a circle of someone who knew how to hold a little bit more presence than me in this way. And because I couldn't prioritize my respect for that in him, I made a choice to forge my own way. And it was worth it in his way. I'm glad. But I'm also super grateful he could receive me, barely did, and without my brakes. My brakes gave out, and that community caught me, chilled me out. And eventually someone showed up there. At first I went to a mechanic. And this is all very spiritually relevant. The world, material plane is spiritual, it's all together. And I went to a mechanic and the mechanic showed me what was wrong. And I didn't know anything about cars at the time. So I didn't have any way to say yes or no, but something didn't feel right. He was going to charge me $800 to fix my brakes. And so I'm just like, whatever, I made it here. I don't really need the car. I can walk in and out of town. I'm not going to fix the car. So I parked the car. It was scary. I mean, think about how my brakes stopped working as I drove into town. Really, I had to slam them and hold them to make it stop. So I got the car frighteningly from the town down the road to this parking lot. And I parked there, and I just left it. And within a couple months, someone showed up. God, the second I saw him, I knew him somehow. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know in real life, but there was a vibrancy, right? And we had a friendship quickly, and I helped him. I sat with him and talked with him through his challenges in a way that was there was a humility in how I did it that wasn't as common for me. And it was really a blessing. And he listened to me, and I told him the story, and he was like, "Oh, I can help fix your brakes. It's just $40 in parts." And so we went and bought the parts, and he showed me how to do it. And I got in there and we fixed the brakes, and they were okay. And I was able to leave when the time was right. So the beauty of that experience happened on so many levels, because by accepting the boundary that the world gave me, by accepting that I didn't have brakes, and by accepting I didn't even have really much money at the time, so I couldn't afford $800. I trusted my intuition that they were kind of playing me for a lot of money, and I stayed with it, and I didn't need to drive. So I accepted that limitation, which was pretty special because it was needed. And I was presented with a magical solution in the form of a graceful friendship, which helped me fix the problem when I was ready to leave. And ironically, during that time, I gained my first vision into this chakra system, the first conscious vision into this chakra system. He, the leader, and when I'm talking about my struggles with someone, I'm not really going to share their name because it's not necessary. I want you to be left with the sense that I respect what this person gave me, and I wish I'd respected it more at the time. I wish I'd been able to. But at the same time, one of the points of contention that I focused on, I was right about. He introduced the way colors are correlate to culture, and I recognized a correlation to the chakras that was unique and built with it. And then I challenged him on it, and he treated me with what I considered to be disrespect when I challenged him on it. In a way, I was right. I had an accurate insight. Now, he didn't want to deal with me. I was also fighting with him to prove myself, and he knew that. And that was a role he played. He was a powerful older man who attracted young men who fought with him. Everyone there told me that. So it was his karma too. And he didn't want to fight with me. So he sort of said, he literally said this, right? I wrote down my objections. It was a respectful manner. I wrote them down, and I said, look, I think you're missing this. You're not recognizing this. But I did say it with that degree of respect. And I gave it to him in a way that wasn't, confronting him and trying to force him to deal with me. I wonder what I'm talking about. And the next day, he went like this, and he said, "This is all you." And ironically, in that moment, I was like, you know what? It is. This is mine. This is my calling. And I've got a lot of work to do to be able to handle this, And I went out into the world, and I gained a lot of experience. And it took me quite a while before I was able to rest on my insights that I made then. And it could be quite a thing to be called into beyond the limits of people you want to respect. And if it's happening, it may well be true. You may well be right. Do it. Go for it. Dive, find it, and own it. Own that it's your choice. Because when you fight with people, you're just wasting your time. You're not actually going to get closer to your truth while you fight. You really won't. You'll work out some karma. You might break. The fighting breaks, it slows you down. But what you do is you also break what you're trying to create, because the ultimate divine gifts, they're not designed to fight. The true divine beneath it is not designed to fight. I've had a whole series of young men recently, some, I think one of them is older than me, men, women, who cares, argue with me about channeling. I knew that people would argue with me about channeling. I was extremely hesitant to share my channelings. And here's the thing. It doesn't work otherwise. There is an extraordinary humility in recognizing the edge beyond which you can't go. And I promise you, there's an edge beyond which you can't go, wherever it is. It exists. Now, I have not met a single young woman doing this, so I consider it a young man thing, but please, if there's a young woman doing it, I believe you. Where you recognize an extreme, and then you say, that's me. And then from that extreme, you might get a little insight into another extreme that's a little further, and then you say, that's me. And so as far as you can see, you try to say, that's me. Look, listen or don't listen, but I'm telling you, it is really healthy to accept the boundaries that are given to you when you reach the right one. Now, all of us start from a space where we've been given limits we're supposed to learn to break beyond. Everybody had parents. No matter what your upbringing was, you were held, right? You were held with a resistance that you were supposed to struggle with. There's a health in that struggle. Struggle is different than fight, okay? Because you want the boundary and you don't want the boundary. You know, this is a classic story. You come up against limits and you hate the limits, but you also love the limits because they help you understand who you are. And at a certain point, limits are created to be destroyed. Limits, all of existence is about creating and destroying limits. So you, at a certain point, you dissolve those limits. You kind of need to find ones that work. Now, look, don't give me this shit about limits, dissolve all limits. There are no limits, no fear. If you've been around enough, you know I don't buy it. Here's what happens. Don't breathe. Now, people push not breathing for a long time. In my opinion, it's kind of absurd because if you look at the record holders, they use this thing, they pump a fluid into their lungs. So it sort of seems like cheating to me. But whatever you do, whatever limits you accept, there are limits to how much you can hold your breath without dying. Okay, there's still a limit to it. You need breath. Eating. I bumped up against a lot of men, only men again, who've done extensive fasts. I've done moderate fasts by comparison. They did extensive fasts. So they pushed it as far as they knew how, but they didn't end up becoming breatharians. I actually believe in breatharians out there. I respect them. I know a couple from afar. They didn't do that. Wherever you find a limit, there's another. Whenever you dissolve a limit, there's another. If you don't learn to see where that new limit is, you're not going to be focused, and you'll gravitate to fight someone. Because without accepting a limit, you're struggling in a way that you will just magnetize into a karma where you fight with someone. And sometimes that's going to be me, which I don't cherish, but it does. There's an honesty to it. You know, I have to turn around in the same way I did in the meditation. I have to turn around and confront myself, confront the young man in myself who was very strong. I was very difficult. I was very frustrating. And in truth, I embrace the honesty of recognizing that I still am most afraid of myself from the past. Everybody should be most afraid of themselves. You know, your shadow. Your shadow. My shadow is that part of myself from the past that manifested extraordinary intentions with a youthful lack of wisdom. And in that lack of wisdom, I set something loose that's still alive until I learn to channel it myself. And so I realize it's my work. It's my work to do, to confront this from my past. And I have to do it again and again until the world says otherwise. You know, it's part of my service. Hey, Ramil, good to see you. Obsioma. What does this mean, Ramil? I love you. Oh, by the way, Asi, I've made multiple videos that explain this. One is how to talk to Thoth. I know you showed up there and mocked me immediately, which is a tremendous sign of who you are. I also have a video called My Relationship with Thoth. Look, I grew up in an Ivy League school. In it, my parents were grad students, right? So I went there all the time. They think I'm crazy. And that's been a burden to bear that's been, I live here. Like I live in the same town, you know? So ultimately, that's where my greatest fear is because that's my own heritage. Other people have their own perspective, and it's very understandable. It's very understandable to doubt things. But the manner in which you doubt things is your choice. You presence yourself, you create yourself. When you do it with hostility, disdain, disrespect, it's very easy to say, I simply don't know how to trust that. It's also sane, healthy to say, maybe they're onto something, but misunderstand what's happening. You can do that based in love. You know, when I've met plenty of people who seemed extremely out of balance to me, and I didn't quite agree with their interpretations of reality. But there's something you can do, which is obvious when people do it, where you say, I find value in you and respect for you as a human being. And I'm confident that there's something in what you're reaching for that is healthy. And I will respect that, even if I disagree with the presence, the form of your interpretation. When someone turns it into a fight right away, that's a choice. Well, you love in your way, but you hold knowledge before love, which is obvious because you use disdain, sarcasm, and you're here. Why are you here? You don't believe me. So go. If you were confident in yourself, leave. Let me be deluded. Are you saving everybody else from my falsity? Are you a hero like that? Are you saving other people from me? No, if you have very sincere as you're given knowledge, then do it. Do it. No, it is an insult. It's not an insult like in an ego form. It's presenced in a form that is not hostility. It's not. It's like your existence threatens my own. If you are confident in your given knowledge, do your thing. Make a channel, write it, but don't be a troll on someone else's. You know, when I approach someone else in their living room, I'm kind, I'm gracious, even when I disrespect them. Like I went to this guy's, I would look, I was an asshole in so many ways to my teachers, but I went and I moved in to this center. And when I had a disagreement with the person there, don't call me brother, I'm not your brother. When I had a disagreement with the person there, I said, I'm not just going to start fighting with him in the middle of his community. I'm going to write him a letter. I wrote him a letter in person because I wasn't afraid to talk to him in person. I didn't need to create a splash to demand other people give me attention. I don't know, but I do know because, as I said, this is my own fear. And I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about it more. Do you know what it was like to start hearing voices in my head? Oh my God. I was normal. I literally had season tickets to the Yankees in New York City. It was like I was living a life that I enjoyed. I was a computer guy, which was fun. I liked the other guys. It was the beginning of the dot-com era, right? So I was able, by the way, I don't like it. I don't really like it when almost anyone calls me brother, except people who are close to me. So it's not personal. I was living with a group of friends, you know, in my life. We'd go out to dinner regularly. It was fun. I made some money. I liked my work. And I started hearing voices in my head. Now, immediately, what did I think? I'm going crazy. It was awful. I didn't have anything in my life that made sense of mysticism or magic. I didn't have anyone in my life who I could talk to about it without being afraid that I was crazy. So the fear just got worse. I lived with a sense of that I was being watched by my friends. They were afraid I was going down rabbit holes. It was so lonely. It was brutal. And the only thing that worked was to trust the voice. Oh my God. It was so hard. It was so frightening. And it was frightening explicitly because it dissolved everything I knew to be real. And the only thing I could trust was exactly the source that was dissolving everything I knew to be real. Can I prove who it is? Of course not. I don't have a proof that's going to work in your worlds. But my ongoing, by the way, it's unbelievable to me that someone would start arguing so quickly, without, I've answered a lot of these questions in other videos. Your lack of respect is your own curse. The presence of love that goes beyond anything you've known before destroys your world just by being there. So the same thing that is medicine for the terror seems to be causing the terror, tearing apart reality as you've known it. And you have to, because your ego, your egg, exists on certain frequencies. It's vibrational, right? So think of the canvas of a painting. Now, normally when painters paint, you think of the canvas. The canvas is the canvas, right? What if they painted and then you start to change the canvas underneath the painting? That's what it's like to get in touch with a love that tears you apart. Took me 6 years. 6. To get a vision of who I was talking to. Blue. Bald and blue. As one of my most popular videos says quite clearly. The secret code to the 12 chakras. And at a certain point, there's this trust. And in this trust, you get to stay. And if you don't have this trust, you don't get to stay. It's that simple. It's not me. It's a direct connection we all get. That's the beauty. I'm stepping aside. I'm not telling you that I am not an analogous prophet to somebody from the past. I'm not in between you and anything divine. Find it yourself. I'll share how I did it. Now, there's this beautiful distinction that I also learned from him between aggressive skepticism and centered skepticism. You're not being asked to be blind faithful like a Christian conservative, or forgive me, some of them are very decent people. But the point is, there seems to be a trend that communities of people give themselves over to a preacher. There's a thing where a certain range of fundamentalist preachers all carry guns and they say, I will shoot someone from the pulpit if they come into my church. How could you have more opposite of ancient teachings from Jesus than that? So to me, that's a cult-like dynamic. Anyone who would follow someone like that as if they are the messenger for God. And so now this person is becoming that. You're not giving up your agency in that way. I'm not suggesting you do it. What you're doing is you're maintaining a difference between being skeptical based in fear, where you're aggressive, where you attack, where you strain yourself to presence yourself in the face of other people who don't really want to listen to you. And that comes from a very insecure place that it lacks self-love. And that's why that was me. I lacked self-love because I was more prone to arguing with other people than I was seeking out people who could really share with me. And this world is big. This world is huge. And now we've got the internet. You can talk to everybody in the world. I assure you, out of 7.5 billion people, there are a couple people that want to talk to you with kindness and respect. So why would anyone ever choose to primarily communicate with aggression or even, something in between where it's a disagreement from the beginning rather than a respect that leads into love from the beginning? You can have all sorts of disagreements with respect and love. It's easy. It's not easy, but it's clear. You know when it's one or the other. But most of the people in my community didn't grow up that way. Now, an Ivy League school it's built on what we currently still call charismatic personalities with people who are very, very aggressive. Often, not all of them by any means, but often they fight. And the premise is that in the fight, the truth gets exposed. And there is only some truth to that because there's a range of knowledge there is a range of knowledge that can be presenced in this way. Presenced with aggression. But there's a certain range that can't be. There's a certain range where a certain lack of love destroys it. So when the skepticism becomes a sort of a debate, like there's nothing abnormal about this. I have to get something. Oh, okay. See you soon. I thought I was getting my baby, but I'm just getting the monitor. Everything is normal about debates in my society, right? Like our presidents go through debates. Academics go through debates. Debating is supposedly the way to bring the truth to life. It's sad. We're going to look back on this time as a very sad time, when the dominance of this kind of hostility was just, it's so much less than what's possible. And again, you can disagree with all sorts of different forms, but there's a fundamental distinction between a disagreement that's held in love and one that isn't. Hey, Silmox, hello from Norway to you. Thank you for being here. I'm really glad to have you. Janie, do you know Janie? Janie is a regular visitor to this channel and this class. I'm glad you're here. I really want to visit Norway someday. As I imagine it, it's just a place I'm sure I want to go. I'm also I'm fascinated by the cold. I've always been fascinated by the cold, and I'm fascinated by what used to be there now that everything's changing so much. You know, the climate is shifting. And so now they used to try to get through the Northwest Passage above Canada, and you couldn't because it was iced in. But now it's not. So you can get there. Good to see you, MP. A couple last things. I am so thrilled with the new thumbnails coming up. Please check them out. Let me know. I'm really focused on finding a community space for January. I had recommendations from people last week. I'm still not sure. I've been researching. I'm going to take another couple weeks, but I'm curious to know what you think, because I try not to do things that annoy me to other people. I get annoyed when people invite me to sign up for a new profile somewhere, you know? So it's like, in that way, I really wish I could trust Facebook, but I don't, because people have Facebook profiles. So asking you to show up in a Facebook group isn't as much of a stretch. I just don't trust it. But I don't know an alternative that doesn't involve saying, hey, please come sign up here, be in this other place. From my knowledge, that's pretty much most of the options out there. So we'll see. But if you're interested in helping, please give me an email, talk to me. I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to tune in. I think there's a couple more things that unfortunately I didn't write down, but I want to make sure I remember. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I'm really excited about this new series. It's a series. I put out Killer Tech. That was inspired by another designer that I've begun working with. He gave me the theme in a way I really like. He's great. He's inspirational in a way that I'm excited for how he helps me create ideas and plan ahead, think ahead into a theme, creating a thumbnail first, which is most of the advice online suggests you learn to do that. And it's really healthy. Creates a focus in a way that, you know, I feel like I've focused so much on extremes in my own life, and I've really wanted to lead with that. I've wanted to share honestly my perspective on reality, so it's not coming out of left field for people. And then I'm reaching to share with people in a more normal way. You know, this theme recently, the Killer Tech video, is about learning to respect and understand the way technology is not good for us, learning to limit it on purpose, learning to put it into a place where you You own your phone. You know, your phone doesn't own you and demand your attention whenever it wants it. I'm going to keep doing this. Another 4 are planned. I'd love your feedback and I'd love you to share them. You'll notice if you've been around for a while, I almost never ask you to share things. I don't like it. I don't like it when people push me to share things. In this case, this is the kind of thing that I hope that you would feel open to sharing, because I believe it's a good way to lead other people into just healthier patterns. It's much more accessible than I am channeling Thoth from the divine. I get it. That's not particularly accessible to a lot of people. This is. So I would also appreciate your ideas. What questions do you have that you think I could lend perspective to in a way that would be helpful for you, and in a way that would be more accessible to people? As I've mentioned, my sister gave me this beautiful challenge of saying Apple didn't call it the iMini computer futuristic tech device. They called it the iPhone. They said, we're going to help you resolve a challenge you already have. Oh, by the way, it's also connects you to the internet. It's something that people understand and more. I think in many ways, I've come from this opposite perspective of saying, divine enlightenment in the norm of channelings, and it's not accessible. It doesn't address you where you are necessarily. So for those of you who have stuck with me, bless your hearts. I really appreciate it. Your presence is something that has helped me be more me in a way that it's a lot healthier and more fun for me to share my work this way. Now, I want to try to be more mainstream. I want to talk in a way, I want to address themes in a way that's more accessible and less out there. And it feels good to get this going. I know it's a little out of character for the rest of the channel, but again, I'd appreciate your feedback, insight, and if you're up for it, sharing. Yes, someone has mentioned Discord. I'm going to look at it because it's one of the things on the docket. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Bless you guys. I ask you to readdress the meditation at the beginning. If you have any questions or challenges that come up from it, please comment. I pray for all of you. May you come into the connection that you need to trust your life, to trust this world, to be present with yourself in a way that you're happy, often in a way that you enjoy your days and are a blessing to the people around you, in a way that heals pains that you share, particularly with the people who will remain in your life, your family. May you heal your memory of pains you've shared with those you may not ever be with again. And yet, you can heal your memory that is present with you now. And may that happen in a way that liberates you to love more. And may you heal your presence with yourself. May you come to terms with who you really were so you can be who you really are. May you reclaim the love and power from your past, from your best visions, from your best dreams, and be it in a way that works, that thrives, that lives. And be the version that trusts the future, trusts wisdom from the road that you can travel that is the best life for you. I want this for you. All of you. Much love. Oh, chimes. I haven't heard of that. I'll check that as well. Bless you guys.